always felt that the best way to solve the cell phone issue in schools was for the superintendent to come out and say, "This is what it is. We're not doing phones. This is a distraction free zone. We're not doing phones, period." Because what that does is that gives the parents who don't like it, the reason why superintendents have don't want to do this is because those parents, they're local. They're able to go to the school board. They're able to reach out to the superintendent and make their voice be heard or make their disagreement known regarding this policy. And so it's just for superintendents, it's another headache that they just don't want to deal with. But I think it's the right thing to do. And I think there's a lot of research that backs it up. But now we have politicians who I'm not a big fan of when it comes to education, because it seems like there are a lot of talk and no action, especially when it comes to teacher pay. But we've got a lot of states around the country that have stepped up, and they've passed laws regarding cell phones in schools. And so here with this article, I want to look a little bit closer at New York, the state of New York, and their cell phone ban. Here's five key takeaways from what they want to do. And this policy is statewide bell to bell ban on phones. Now, of course, there's some exceptions, and I want to touch on those, because and then I think we're going to see some reaction on the part of parents, and there's a bit of a loophole for some students, and we'll talk about that. So here, number one, distraction-free schools law. The City Department of Education's proposed policy directly addresses the governor's statewide distraction-free schools law, which mandates that all public schools, talking about New York City, create policies prohibiting cell phone use during school hours. This law requires districts to establish their policies by August 1st of this year for this upcoming year, the 25-26 school year. Governors emphasize that the initiative aims to shift student focus from clicking and scrolling back to learning and growing. That's very nice. That's very nice that someone came up with those words for the governor there. But it flows well and it makes sense. So someone's doing a really good job there. From clicking and scrolling to back to learning and growing. It's nice. It works. Under the state guidelines, students will still have to authorize access to simple cell phones without internet capability. Additionally, they may use school-provided internet-enabled devices like laptops or tablets when these are officially incorporated into classroom instruction as a part of the lesson plan. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, I want to drop down here. Of course, this is a comprehensive approach. What I like here, sweeping ban includes cell phones, smartphones, smart watches, laptops, tablets, iPads, portable music players, MP3 players. Do we still use those? I guess, and gaming consoles. So I mean, they've got it. They've got it all covered, because I think the Switch, they have some ability there. So I mean, it gets at everything, any personal device capable of connecting to the internet. So they've done their homework here. They've done their homework. It's a comprehensive approach. Each Drop down here. Each public school in New York City will be required to develop and implement its own written policy regarding electronic device use on school property. So I like that. I like that the states the state government has provided that coverage for schools. State government has said, okay, we're going to take the bullet. Now you go and make your policies, because it's your policy is going to represent state law. So if someone wants to complain, all you need to do is just point back to state law. Like, our policy is in line with state law. So now you can reach out to the governor or your Congress or your state congressman, whatever you want to do. But this is now the world that we live in, and I think I think they're on the right track here. I think the state of New York is on the right track here. Now, definitely with the world we live in, like the biggest complaint of parents, which is definitely understandable, is like safety, and it's tough that we live in this world, but this is our reality. Schools must include at least one method for parents to contact students during the school day, such as a direct phone number to the school. This requirement acknowledges the legitimate need for parent child communication during emergencies or urgent situations while maintaining the integrity of the device free learning environment. So they're trying to address that big concern. And you know what? Before cell phones, we did just fine. We did just fine. As a matter of fact, I've noticed, um, working as a principal in the office, I've seen parents, they just directly contact their kids on their phones. Like, wait a second, your kid, and then the kids would come out to the office, and I would learn, my secretary would learn that, oh, the parent is here, and then I see the kid in front of me. It's like, how'd you know your parent is here? Well, they got a text from their parent while they were in class. So now we're just going back old school. Parents call the front office, and we will go get the child because the child is locked into their learning, and it worked out okay. We got by just fine. All right, so here I really want to focus on this limited exceptions. Of course, you got to have these exceptions. Now, check this out. Students who need, so they're going to look, so they've, school principals can authorize device use for specific educational purposes when deemed necessary. Students who need to monitor medical conditions will be allowed to use appropriate devices, as will student caregivers responsible for family members. I think what I've seen is you can monitor your blood sugar through an app on your phone. So that's a legitimate exception that's needed there. But look, this one right here, I can see this being taken advantage of. The policy also makes exceptions where device use is required by law or included in a student's IEP or 504 plan for medical or educational purposes. I can see a lot of families taking advantage of that. And with that, there's nothing you can do. There's very little, let me say that, it's very little that you can do there. But that's, to me, that's a loophole right there. That's a loophole right there. And then, call me jaded, working in high schools for over 19 years, I can see teenagers say, "Hey, mom, you know what? I really feel like I learn better if I'm able to have my phone." Yeah, I can see it. I know the way they think. Additionally, schools may authorize personal device use in individual student emergency situations where parents have notified the school about the nature of the emergency. This is another one. Translation and interpretation services via personal devices may also be permitted when other means are unavailable. It's amazing. I've had conversations with students who spoke no English, and we just talked to our phones, and it was amazing. So there is that, and you got to have those exceptions. You got to have those exceptions so it goes down a little bit more smoothly for everybody. And then two, this is really interesting. This is the last one. Device storage. Under the proposed policy, schools will be required to provide at least one method of storing student devices during the school day. These storage options may include school storage lockers, assigned student lockers, or other holding systems. Students will need to turn off their devices and store them according to their school's specific procedures, ensuring devices remain inaccessible throughout instructional hours. And then it just goes on to talk about discipline. That's up to schools. Um, and then it talks about confiscation of devices. We should not be confiscating phones in 2025. Don't. That's just that we should not be doing that. But I know that there's going to be some schools that decide to do that. I don't like that. Now, what I do see here is there is, this is the land of opportunity, right? Capitalism, free market. There's there's an opportunity for someone uh, who is uh, who is an entrepreneur minded like person. There's an opportunity to come up with some kind of storage, uh, some kind of storage system for schools. There's just, I can see it. There's an opportunity there. So you just wait, because I think many of the states are going to adopt laws like this, and as a result, schools, they're going to be forced to look at some kind of storage system for all students. And some of that infrastructure is already in place because, uh, especially for high school and probably middle school as well, you have lockers. And what I've seen since COVID is that the kids aren't using the lockers, so there's some room there for that storage system. But this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting monitoring this school year to see how this is going, and as we get more updates, I will definitely share those with you, because this is an important story and we need to keep an eye on it. And hopefully it's widely successful. And if it is 95, 95, 96, 97% successful, we've solved a huge problem. And look at that, a politician helping us solve a problem in education. Wow.